Texas Supreme Court decision could kill hemp Delta-8 industry due to confusion with pot. The Texas Supreme Court will soon decide whether a state agency can wipe out a multi-billion-dollar industry with a pen stroke. The case over cannabis carries enormous political baggage, with drug prohibitionists and medical marijuana producers on one side and farmers and hemp sellers on the other. The elected justices must decide if a political appointee can act even after a legislature punts on the same issue. It all comes down to how high is too high. Hemp and marijuana both come from the cannabis plant. Under federal and state law, the differences in the amount of psychoactive THC, with hemp defined as containing less than 0.3% by dry weight. Hemp became legal under the 2018 Farm Bill and in 2019 under the Texas House Bill 1325. Cannabis chemistry is far more complicated than the law suggests. Two forms of THC are at issue here. The naturally occurring Delta-9 tetrahydrocannabinol from marijuana, which can make you high, and the hemp-derived Delta-8 tetrahydrocannabinol, which can make you not so high. The Delta-9 can land you in jail, while Delta-8 is legal. When Texas legalized hemp, farmers planted thousands of acres, and entrepreneurs set about making rope, clothes, tinctures, beauty products, and gummies, with some even selling hemp flower for smoking. The problem is that police can't tell the difference between hemp and marijuana, and only carefully and expensive tests can determine what's legal. Some big city district attorneys and police departments stopped prosecuting low-level cases because it was too expensive and time-consuming. Today, lax enforcement has led to some smoke shops selling high THC products. Texas Monthly declared that the hemp law essentially legalized marijuana because many products they found in smoke shops exceed the 0.3% THC. Conservative lawmakers are appalled, and the state's medical marijuana companies are frustrated. The Republicans don't want people to get high, even a little bit, and the prescription drug guys can't compete with the retail marijuana, so they are losing market share and money. Veterans groups, though, have fought to keep Delta-8 legal, declaring the mild mood enhancer helps with PTSD and anxiety. After lawmakers failed to outlaw Delta-8 in 2021, the Texas Department of State Health Services stepped in. The DSHS first banned the manufacturing of smokable hemp products within the state, and the Texas Supreme Court upheld the decision. When DSHS declared in October 2021 that Delta-8 was illegal, Austin-based producer Hometown Hero won an injunction against the state. The Texas Supreme Court will soon decide if DSHS has that authority. Texas's hemp industry argues that Delta-8's high is minimal, and the states should not punish it. Should not punish it because bad actors exploit law enforcement confusion. A Hemp Industry Association study in 2022 found the sector employed 50,000 Texans and generated $8 billion in revenue. And a Delta-8 ban would wipe out $6.8 billion of it. A hemp-derived cannabinoid can be psychoactive, Cynthia Cabrera, Chief Strategy Officer of Hometown Hero, told me. It doesn't mean that it's some evil drug, because then we should be outlawing caffeine and we should be outlawing sugar if we're going to go after things that are psychoactive, quote unquote. Legalizing all THC products, if done thoughtfully, could solve these problems. The Food and Drug Administration could oversee testing and labeling and protect against contaminants. I stress thoughtfully because recreational marijuana legalization in other states has shown mixed results, sometimes boosting the illicit trade when overtaxed and underregulated. I'm a fan of how Uruguay has become the first nation in the Western Hemisphere to legalize pot. When I visited, only citizens could grow at home, buy THC from pharmacy, or join cannabis growing clubs. Head shops with big green leaves in the windows are illegal. It's more of a hobby than an industry. Our nation's entrepreneurial spirit will never allow that kind of restraint. According to nonpartisan Texas Lyceum, 73% of Texans agree. We should stop ruining people's lives and wasting valuable law enforcement resources and harassing people for using pot. The Texas Supreme Court's decision, though, will likely come down to politics. Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick and his Christian nationalist allies want to ban Delta-8. The all-Republican court will likely help him. Texas justices, though, should instead take a cue from conservative U.S. Supreme Court rulings that reduce the power of government agencies to impose regulations not explicitly authorized by elected lawmakers. By that conservative logic, the justices should rule against the DSHS and leave the question to the legislature. The lawmakers should do nothing and grant Texans the liberty to use whatever THC products they desire and end the senseless, expensive, and ruinous prohibition against marijuana. This article is by Chris Tomlinson. I just have to say one thing. I'm all about the personal liberty and sovereignty which our Constitution affords us in this country. And if you are in Texas, you should really pay attention to what's going on and potentially go talk to Chris Tomlinson or read this article and listen to us on High 9 News. This is Saman Razani signing up for High 9 News.
Man, they're trying to hate on the game out there in Texas. I don't think this will ultimately be successful, but a lot of prohibition going on out there.
Jason, what do you think, dude? This is the Republican group. You know these guys well. What do you think Greg Abbott's up to?
Yeah, it's not really Greg Abbott. It's more Dan Patrick. Great.
Yeah, Abbott doesn't have any say in what's happening.
No. The lieutenant governor is who really calls the shots over there. That's Dan Patrick.
Well, I love what Saman said, because Saman said he's for personal liberties and choices, and Texas has a lot.
Choices. He said freedoms.
He's freedoms, which is choices, and so Texas has a long way to go on a variety of issues in regards to prioritizing personal liberties and freedoms. I was in Texas this year, but for their brisket, I was completely astonished at the number of shops selling high potency cannabis just out in the open. It made me wish that I was a younger man with a higher risk tolerance, because they're just doing it and nobody seems to worry about enforcement there. I thought Texas was just a place where you went to get killed by the death penalty or something, but you go there and there are so many unlicensed shops selling quote unquote hemp that I put head in jars. I was looking at what they had on the shelves. Mm-hmm. It was just in downtown, like nobody's even trying to hide. And so I think that shows that the demand is there and they would greatly benefit from an adult use program. I think their medical, from what I hear, is pretty FUBAR and doesn't really prioritize patient access.
And it's only in like 3 or 4 cities in the entire state.
Yeah, that's not fair.
Yeah, it's pretty.
Say that again, Saman?
It's a 5% THC maximum limit. So you can't have more than a product with 5% THC. So
that's dry weight volume, though.
Yeah, more than 0.3%. But gummies, for instance, that have THC in them, if the weight is correct, then, and it has, a low enough amount of milligrams, then it's considered legal. So where does this leave us as a society with entrepreneurs on one side, consumers on the other? People are going to buy this. People are going to use this. So what do we do? The laws are clear. They state that you can't have more than 0.3% THC in your product. So if you can meet those requirements, are you considered an illicit product?
You bring up an interesting point. Is I can see them lowering that 0.5% to 0.3%, but I don't think that they can go beyond that, because the federal government has made it federally legal. So I don't think they can actually regulate on it like that, like what they're trying to do here.
I mean, the states can, the states can do what they want if they can get the legislature behind. And the governor behind. And
but it'll get tied up in lawsuits for a long period of time.
Yeah, that could be.
We have dry counties for alcohol.
Yeah. Yep.
So that's,
I think Texas has a culture of self-determination, frontier, take care of your neighbor, less interference by the federal government, and yet the state government in Texas is a walking hypocrisy demonstration.
Mm-hmm.
And so the idea that these people can't interact with the plant or can with such limited opportunities is almost anti-Texan, as is some of their other policies that I won't digress because this is a cannabis show. But people deserve to have choice in how they treat their bodies, what they put in their bodies, the decisions they make around their bodies. And Texas really could be a very exciting market when adult use is bolted on there. And I hope they do it sooner rather than later. Under any political party, it doesn't make any sense for them to be the Lone Star holdout. Like, it just doesn't make any sense. And I think, maybe with Trump supporting some of the stuff that's going on in Florida, we can get sort of a purple consensus in Texas that adult use is long overdue.
Problem with Texas is that they don't believe in personal freedoms if they're different from your personal freedoms.
That's not true. That's
not
true.
The problem, as long as your personal freedoms agree with mine, and then that's how Abbott is also.
Abbott's not as big like that as what you're portraying him to be.
I don't know. He rolls in and out of rooms, and he's a pimple on the ass of progress.
I don't know. I've had some good conversations with him over the years.
Oh, that doesn't make him.
I'm actually going to agree with Todd.
What?
Look at that.
I know.
Look at that. Look at that.
Yeah, I mean, Jason, you can have a good conversation with somebody, but that doesn't mean their CV is erased. Abbott is not great for his party. I don't think he's great for his state. He's got a track record that speaks for itself.
But you're a Californian. You shouldn't. What?
I'm in California.
Yeah.
That's right. And so are you.
So he can't have an opinion
you have
about
an opinion
Texas?
about Abbott, and so do I. And I think Abbott is not a good Republican. He's not a good policymaker, and his agenda is out of step with the people.
Not a good human.
I don't know about all of that. I mean, he does need to evolve more on the cannabis side, but nonetheless, like he's open to having conversations, and that's
conversations aren't policy change, right? So you can
but how you change people's minds is through conversations, Yarrow, and that's how it happens.
Well, he took a giant step backwards for women in that state, and you knew I was going to go there because I can't help myself.
We're not going there. Or you know what I'm saying?
I'm all about women smoking weed. You know what I mean? So let's get that done down there.
Saman's all about the girl on girl action. You know what I mean? Because the plant
and
is
putting
female.
the weed down there.
Who is it?
Hello.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, the thing is that for me, cannabis and brisket are like the two sides of the happy sandwich, with the exception of things that are R-rated. Like, I can't find a better happy place than cannabis and brisket. And so Texas needs to figure out how to get their act together so they have adult use. Because if they stood up a consumption lounge that included brisket, I would probably move out of California.
They are not going to just go all of a sudden hard, full blown with adult use. They would ultimately refine their medical program to make that more accessible. They'd run that for a few years, and then they would go into adult use. You're skipping too many rocks on this pond, Yarrow.
I have faith in Texas. Let's go. We can do it, Texas.
If not, just go and just get some THCA while you're out there in the great state.
Do it for the brisket.
To the
or the brisket.
Yeah.
Look out for those exceptional gummies they have.
Mm-hmm. Yes.